Well, good morning. This is Mark Mond with Cherry Bekaert Wealth Management, and Robin Haffer is joining me. I'm in the Augusta office, and Robin is in the Austin, Texas office, and we're delighted that you have chosen to join us this morning for probably about 30 minutes of conversation that we hope will outline the advantages of having a full-service accounting firm like Cherry Bekaert that also has wealth management as it relates to business owners and the range of services and advisory work that we can do for you as a client. So we're going to tee up a situation where Robin is a business owner, and he'll talk about that in a minute. And we're really just going to have a conversation about pretty much everything that we would want you to know about us, but more importantly, what we need to know about you as a client, so that we can help you, again, with a full range of things that will apply to your business and most importantly to your family and your well-being. So, Robin, why don't you let folks know about you and your business?
Wonderful. Yeah, good morning, everyone. So yes, just like Mark said, today I'm not just a wealth advisor, I'm also a business owner. And the quick background of our story and our business is that we originally came over from Germany and migrated to the US and started a travel trailer business out of our garage. And now over the years, the business has really grown to a $50 million in sales business with net profits before tax and owner compensation of around 5 million. We have seen a substantial growth in employees that are now up to 125. And of these 125 employees, we have 3 key employees, which are the production manager, the chief designer, the director of sales. And as we have been working with Cherry Bekaert on the tax side and really focused on tax planning, we had the opportunity to get introduced to Cherry Bekaert's wealth management team, which is Mark. So let's get it started.
Well, good morning, Robin. How are you today?
Good morning, Mark. Doing good.
Good. I appreciate you taking the time for us to get together, and this may be a little different than what you're accustomed to with an accounting firm, but as Cherry Bekaert has grown over the last 70 plus years, and changes have taken place, to say the least, in the tax code and the way we do business with technology and that kind of thing, the firm has had to adapt, but also to think about ways that we can bring more value to you as our client. And so today I'm going to ask you really a series of questions that might be a little outside of the normal scope of what you're accustomed to. So I hope this will be an informative time for us to be together and for you to get a better idea of not only what we bring to the table, but the things that we think you are probably concerned about and maybe didn't know who to ask or were afraid to ask, and probably some things too you haven't thought of that we need to address as we really want to partner with you as you grow and develop your business and make sure that we've identified any pitfalls that you may run into based on our experience over the last 70 plus years, and also provide the traditional accounting and tax advice from a compliance standpoint. So today's going to be more of an open-ended discussion, and I'm not going to cloud your brain with any major technical details today. So if that's okay with you, we'll get started.
Yeah, sounds great. Thank you.
Great. Well, I know that you're married and Tina is your wife. Tell me a little bit about Tina. How did you guys meet?
Oh yeah, that's a long story. We met while I was an exchange student and very, very young, and we ended up staying in contact for years and years and years. And all of a sudden, we're now 10 years married, have 2 wonderful kids, and that makes me feel like I'm getting old on the fly. So yeah, that's how we met.
Right. Well, tell me about your children.
Yeah, we have a son and a daughter. Our son just turned 17. His name is Ryder, and our daughter Hunter is 14.
Okay. Have you guys, I guess Ryder's what, a junior in high school this year?
Correct.
Have you all started looking at colleges, or what do you think Ryder's plans are?
Yeah, we don't really know for sure yet. I know we started poking around a little bit, but we don't have anything concrete as of right now. But the goal for him is definitely to find a fitting university that offers what he's looking for. But at the same time, I still have hopes that he is willing to step up and support us with our business in the future. But I don't want to put a lot of pressure on him, so there's still a lot of unknowns. But as of right now, yeah, he's on the lookout.
Okay. Well, and you guys faring okay with the virtual learning? And I guess Tina has become a homeschooler, whether she wanted to be or not.
Yeah, she's not just a wonderful wife, but she's also a really good mentor and teacher. So she has really stepped up her game and has been doing unbelievable things that I don't think I could have ever handled. But she's very supportive with both kids being at home, hoping that now that schools are opening up, that we'll get a little break and give her a break so the kids can go back and interact with other kids at school and continue to learn. Yeah, but as of right now, they're both home.
All right. Well, I know you've been busy building the business, and one of the things that we'll want to go over with you at a follow-up session is just to talk about generally what the cost of college is, and you all can be thinking about how much of that you want to fund, how much of that you want your children to be a part of. And really, those are all personal decisions. We just want to be able to help you look at some college funding options. So if that's important to you, we'll put that on the list of things to follow up with and get back with you.
Yeah, I'm glad you're bringing that up, because we have been talking about it for years, but never really did anything for it specifically. So sounds great.
Okay. The other thing that I want to talk to you in as it relates to your family in particular is thinking about as we age and caring for our extended families. And I know when you and I met initially, you mentioned that your mother is still in Europe. Is that correct?
Yeah, she's still in Europe.
Okay. And how's she doing physically? Is she live by herself, and any other family there to help care for her as she gets old?
And it has been a hot topic. She's now 75. Unfortunately, he's turning blind, and we have been talking back and forth about opportunities to have her come live with us. But as of right now, she chose to live in a very remote area in Hungary and enjoy retirement. But of course, nobody could see it coming that from one day to the other, she was diagnosed with a genetic disease, and within 6 months, pretty much almost blind by now.
Right. Well, I know that Hungary, as most European countries, do have a program for caring folks when they get older, but I know there's no replacement for, blood family being right there and providing the emotional support as well. So
Yeah.
we'll make note of that. Tell me about Tina's parents. Now they're both in the U.S., correct?
Correct. They're both in the U.S. in Washington State. They're getting closer and closer to retirement age. Tina has 4 brothers in all age groups. And I think my biggest concern with them is that they focused on supporting their kids all their lives, which left them probably not enough to save for themselves for retirement.
Okay. Well, as a follow-up item again, is that something you'd like for us to run through some options with you on in terms of long-term care or any assistance you may feel like you would want to offer both Tina's parents and your mother?
Yes, absolutely. So far, we just thought about financially supporting them on ourselves. But if there's any tools out there that could help us with that, I would appreciate.
Well, there are some options that you could, pay some now and not have to pay as much later. And of course, self-funding all of that might be an option for you as well. But let's just review those as a follow-up item, and that way you'll be fully equipped to make a good decision that works for you and your family.
Perfect.
All right. Well, the reason we do that first is because it's very easy to get heads down in your business, as you now know, with the growth that you all have experienced, and sometimes our families unintentionally on our part as a business owner do suffer, and so it's always good to make sure that we remember who comes first and not let the business completely rule our days and nights sometimes. But speaking of that, tell me, with the growth that you've had, I know I read some articles that said that the travel trailer business has just boomed in 2020 due to COVID, because so many people want to, if they're going to have to work away from the office and be outside to stay safe, they're buying travel trailers like they're going out of style and going beside a creek or somewhere and homeschooling kids and working remotely. So how have you guys done, and how has that affected your growth so far?
Yeah, to tell you the truth, when COVID started, we were really concerned about what the demand will look like. But we were one of the fortunate businesses that really saw a huge increase in demand. So during COVID, we stayed on pace, but also tried to increase our production, just because there weren't enough travel trailers available on the market, because just like you said, people were really buying them left and right because they wanted to get out of the houses.
Right. Well, of course, with that growth, you know that you couldn't build that business without a great team of folks helping you design and build those trailers and get them out to the dealer network. And I took a look at a couple of notes that you shared with the tax partner, and glad that you have a 401k plan in place. That's a really great tool for employees and being able to reward their hard work, and also share, at least partially in some of the profits if you choose to. But you're over 100 participants now, and one of the things we'll need to do is look at getting an audit of your retirement plan, because those are the rules. And I don't know if you're aware of that or not, but we'll get our audit team to take a look at that and see how we might be able to help you there. But the other thing would be just taking a look at what you really want your retirement plan to do for your employees, and make sure they understand the benefit that it is to them. Did you put that plan in place for that purpose, or did you just kind of do it because you felt like that's what you needed to do as a business owner?
Probably both. I thought, as we get raised in Germany with making sure that we're starting to save as early as possible, I wanted to make sure that we're doing the same for our staff, because they're the ones that keep the business open, and without them, we would be nothing. So we appreciate their support, their dedication, especially during COVID. And that of course makes it much more important to me to ensure that their benefits are set so they'll be successful when it comes to a good retirement.
Okay. Well, what I'd like to do is get a copy of your plan and have our third-party administration group take a look at the design of the plan and come back to you with some options to help make it a better plan for your participants, increase participation, look at ways that we can help them understand more of the benefit that they have with helping them make choices with funds and have a good idea of, whether they're on track for retirement or not. It's pretty interesting that you mentioned being from Germany, where they stress savings. The latest statistics says that only 25% of people who are working in the United States and have a 401k plan are on track to retire with 70% of their pre-retirement earnings.
Yeah, that is scary.
Yeah, and as you probably know, the longer you wait to find that out, the harder it is to try to catch up. So if we can help you do some things to make that process occur with a better success rate, and also help your folks understand what you're doing for them and how you want your partners, in this case, to help them with that retirement success, we want to do that too. So we'll put that on the list of things we need to follow up with. We've got a really great set of suggestions that have gotten folks to move that needle from 25% to close to 90% just within a few years. Because I notice most of your employees are fairly young, so we've got time to really move the needle on that, because they'll be able to make small changes now that'll have a big impact as they approach retirement.
Right.
The other thing I noticed is that you're now doing business in 9 states, and I know the tax partner probably talked to you a little bit about that. But just as you wouldn't go to a pediatrician for brain surgery, even though they're both doctors, we've got a ton of CPAs in the firm, but they all have to subspecialize to some degree, like we all do. And so our state and local tax group is, just as a follow-up from your previous meeting with the partner, are looking at all 9 states that you're doing business now, just to make sure that we're not missing anything there, and also to see if there may be some things that they could recommend that would help you save a little money along the way. But I told the tax partner I would ask you, are there some other states that you plan to enter in this year that we need to go ahead and take a look at in advance?
No, not at this moment.
Okay. All right. Well, when your sales director lands a new dealer in a new state, if you let us know, then we'll be able to take a look at that and make sure we get everything lined up like it should be from the start.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I know you've got a brand new building, and that you have just moved in, and that the building is much larger really than you need for current production. Talk to me a little bit about how you see your growth in terms of new employees and maybe equipment purchases in the next, say, 12 to 18 months.
Yeah. So as of right now, we have the new building, and we already moved. It still looks a little empty because we have so much more extra space. So the goal is really to grow to a healthy amount of employees, probably around 200, to just stay a little bit more on the lower end. And then we could really use some additional equipment for framing and bending purposes, which would give us the capability with the increase in staff and additional machineries to really make sure that we're staying on track when it comes to demands.
Okay, so we've got some capital needs there, both for purchases as well as ongoing expense with employees, which also would add to some expense around the retirement plan. So we want to keep up with that. I know that we looked at the setup, and you did a really smart thing. You formed an LLC that you and Tina own. Then you lease the building back to the business. But one of the things we want to take a look at is to see whether it would make sense to accelerate, if we can, some of the depreciation in items in the building that would help save you some money from a tax standpoint. And we have a group that focuses on those kinds of specialty items. And I think I'd like to get them in touch with you to see if what's called a cost segregation study might be a good idea for you.
Mm-hmm.
As you know, depreciation is kind of a non-cash expense that helps reduce your taxable income around equipment or real estate. And different types of real estate have different depreciation schedules, and the tax partner can talk to you about that. But as a follow-up item, I told them since we would be talking today that I would let you know that we'll probably have somebody from that group reach out to you and set up a call with your controller, just to get some more information so we can do a study and see if that would be of any assistance to you.
Yep, I like studies. Never hurts.
Good. All right. Now moving a little further down the road beyond, say, 18 months, what would you really like for the business to be? I mean, have you been focused on growing it to a certain level, or are you really just in it because you love to make travel trailers? Or talk to me a little bit about what your vision is, say, 5 years from now for the business.
Yeah, that's a good question. Sometimes it feels like after a couple of stressful weeks, then I'm just ready to sell the business and be done with it. But just like you said, I love what we do, and obviously we want to keep on going as long as it works and everyone is happy. That's the main priority. But at the same time, we do see ourselves grow over the next 5 years. Don't have any specific numbers because that was always probably a time eater that I didn't want to spend too much time on. So we came up with rough numbers, but really never figured out how to really grow in a structured way, if that makes sense.
Right. Well, and this kind of bleeds into my next question, but the important part about this discussion is, and I think we probably want to do this, is we spend a lot of time, all of us do, working in our business, and the busier we are, the harder it is to extract ourselves and actually think about the future and work on our business. And but it's a critical need so that we're not just reacting all the time. We want to be moving towards a plan, a goal, and that plan needs to be your plan, and we want to help you with that. So one of the things I talked to the tax partner about was getting together with you and maybe your team and just brainstorming a little bit about the future. And nothing necessarily has to be put in concrete, but to get some ideas so we can maybe help you do some projections of what your capital needs might be. And that way you can know in advance, what your plan for growth might be should you decide to grow at certain levels. And it's one less thing you have to try to figure out as you go. And I think it helps provide a vision and a clear idea for everybody as to where the business is going. But on that note, the other thing that we want to talk to you about is that, our clients who are business owners that have, 90% of their net worth in their business, we certainly don't want to cash trap the business. But at the same time, as you know, all businesses go through economic cycles and have changes. Some of them we can foresee, many we can't, and we want to plan around those. But as much as you love this business, and whether you decide to grow it and make it a family business and have Ryder come in and run it with you and then take it over, or whether you decide to sell it in the future, between here and then, would it be important to you, or have you thought about maybe taking some of the profits that you're making, which is pretty substantial right now, and maybe taking it out of the business and beginning to build a little more liquid, diversified portfolio for your family, not necessarily to fully support you, but just to begin to build a nest egg outside of the business, just in case something happens to the business or to you or to Tina?
Yeah, Tina and I talked about this, and I think just recently when my mom started declining in regards to her health, we realized that it's really hard to react if something stands right in front of you, and you don't have a plan in place. So we talked here and there, but to tell you the truth, we have been focusing on putting everything back into our business. So we don't really have a clear path of what should we take out, what should we put aside.
Okay. Well, I think the way to clarify that is not to try to tell you what to do, but to show you things that you should consider and be thinking about, and then introduce some ways to deal with that. So why don't we schedule a separate follow-up meeting with just you and Tina, and let's talk about really your personal financial plan, and in that we'll look at some ways to help protect you and your family, both from an economic downturn that might affect your business and thus your income. But at the same time, there may be some other things. As you know, death is going to come to all of us at some point, but disability has an even greater chance of happening. And really want to look at, with your leadership team and you, kind of, what would be the plan if something devastating like that might happen, so that your business doesn't suffer and your family doesn't suffer as a result of us not having walked through that with you in advance. So we'll get that scheduled as well, and I think that will help you be able to, as you're working in the business, to have a plan that you've already decided is works for you, and be able to direct funds as they're available to the right place, so that it actually takes place. I think it was George Patton that said, an average plan well executed is much better than an excellent plan that never gets executed. So
Yeah, no, you're spot on, and we really need that plan.
Yeah. So, all right. And then finally, and this really ties into kind of the future, to give you some ideas about what you might want to consider in terms of the outcome for the business. And that would be whether to keep it or sell it. And one of the things I'd like to do right now, and this will help us in our personal financial planning with you as well, is to just find out what the business is worth right now. If we look on the back of the napkin, as it were, and figure about 5 times your profit before owner's comp and taxes, you're probably looking at close to a $25 million valuation.
Oh, wow.
That opens up, potentially some estate tax issues down the road, given that you're only 38. It may give us some ideas that we want to bring to bear with our mergers and acquisitions specialty team on just kind of talking to them about what the private equity market looks like out there for a business like yours. It could be that you could remain active in the business doing what you love about it, but have an equity partner that's taking care of some of the back office and growth decisions. It could be an outright sale. I don't know, but we'll want to introduce you to the options now, so that as you grow and as we finalize some of these other plans with around the future of your business, you'll know what your funding options are for capital needs, as well as potentially maybe selling the business down the road. And with that, the final piece will be, as part of your financial plan personally, will be to connect with our estate and gift group, so that we look at some ways you can creatively and effectively protect wealth for your family, and make sure that your children are taken care of. To what degree is up to you. I think it was Warren Buffett that said, I want to leave my children enough to do anything, but not enough to do nothing. So somewhere in there is the appropriate amount of inheritance and so forth. But obviously this is a lot, I know, to take in at one meeting, but today's purpose was really to just identify the things that we need to get on the docket going forward, say over the next 12 months, begin to unpack for you. And we'll do that at your leisure. We'll order the priority of those things based on what is a hot topic for you. There's no set order, don't have to follow the order we went through today. But just to make sure we haven't left anything out that you want us to cover with you, let's just do a quick recap of the things that we want to follow up with you on.
Yeah.
Of course, first thing regarding your family would be looking at college funding options. We talked about ways that you may want to be prepared to care for both your mother and for Tina's parents, not just around long-term care and monetary needs, but that might mean, extending your house, and adding a mother-in-law apartment or something like that. We don't know yet, but we'll follow up on that. Then we talked about looking at your retirement plan to make sure that you're getting all the benefits you can out of that to reward your employees. And we didn't spend any time on it today, but your 3 key people, once we do that plan design review, might not be able to maximize the retirement plan funding because of what you're paying them. And we'll talk about some options for them potentially as well. Then we also talked about coming back and having the state and local tax group, make sure we're not missing any opportunities for savings, and obviously not doing something that we should be doing in the states that you're now doing business with your dealer network. We talked about putting together a projection for future growth and needs you might have and what that might cost, and we'll look at sources of capital around that. We talked about looking at whether you want to keep all of your earnings poured back into the business, or maybe you want to pull some out along the way and do some personal planning and diversification for your family there. And so we'll schedule a follow-up financial plan meeting with you and Tina. And then we'll talk about several things around options for funding future growth, as well as sale, whether it be a partial sale or a full sale in the future, and get with our state and gift group around those kinds of things. There's some strategies you can do since you're an S Corp that we may want to consider in advance, and lots of other ideas that they have as a subspecialist in the estate planning arena that we'll bring to bear. Did I leave anything out, or is that more than you even wanted to talk about today?
No, that's a good chunk, but one thing that I'm just realizing is that I never knew that Cherry Bekaert has so many specialty groups and teams that I can access. So I'm really excited to get things started with you and put a game plan in place, both for our family, but also for the business. So thank you very much for offering help.
Well, good. Well, it's, every business, I think, whether they realize it or not, is a relationship business. I mean, you have a relationship with your wife and your family, you have a relationship with your employees, you have a relationship with your customers, and of course your end users. And so, we feel like we need to have a relationship with you and work with you on your relationships. And so these are sort of just the tools to hopefully help you have even better relationships with all those folks, so that your business is not it's not overwhelming with compliance items, but it actually has these things that we can help you take care of, so you really can enjoy the business, and more importantly, have time with your family and let the business support the lifestyle that you'd like to have. So appreciate the time today, Robin, and we'll get the list together, and then I'll have Donna in our office follow up with your folks, and we'll start scheduling these meetings and get to work.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Have a great day.
Thanks.
All right.